Thank you for coming this evening. I would just like to ask you that if you have a question or you come up, you want to talk, if you please introduce yourself first. Okay. So we'll begin the meeting. I'd like to begin the meeting. It's February 10th at 6 p.m. And I bring the Douglas Board of Health meeting to order. First on the agenda, of course, we have animal regulations and discussion. By the way, please bear with me because I forgot my glasses and everything seems to be a blur. So I have Corey right next to me. He'll take care of that. Okay, so Corey, if you'd like to begin the meeting here.
So I assume most of you guys are here for the animal regulation discussion that we're going to have. I'd like to start off by saying I've been working on this for a while, and it's not, I put it off for I've been a board member for about 10 years. I was animal inspector before that. Many of you knew Dickie Downs was animal inspector for 20-something years. If you've been a Douglas person for a long time, then you certainly know who that name is and who that guy was. He was the animal inspector all through the 80s and 90s. I can remember as a kid, I didn't mind his visits. I almost looked forward to them because we got that nice piece of paper that said we were doing well and that everybody looked good and was healthy, and I appreciated the compliment. As a former animal inspector, the job of the animal inspector is purely to make sure animals are properly cared for and they're not mistreated. So, I mean, I suppose there's going to be some argument that if somebody wants to mistreat their animals, that's their prerogative. And I'm sure, most people would argue in the right of the animal in that sense that animals don't work for us. We work for the animals we keep. And that's the mentality I've always kept with my animals, is that I work for them, they don't work for me, and I treat them as such. I do raise animals. I have a small hobby farm. I milk goats and raise goats and chickens. And I want to make it very clear, because there was some false rhetoric and some very negative connotations on the Facebook page about this animal regulation. It does not seek to prevent anybody from having animals. It doesn't seek to make it difficult for people to get animals. We're not trying to take animals away from anybody. A couple things occurred with people using animals to get back at neighbors, putting their chicken coops right on the property line, and different things of that sort. So without getting too into like all that stuff, we've sort of put this off for a really long time, and we've been getting more and more pressure to have some sort of a regulation on the books involving animals. Uxbridge and Northbridge have some regulations. I thought those were a little strict, and that's one reason why I like our town of Douglas, is because we are, I feel like we're able to do a little bit more. We have a little bit more space. The rules and regulations are a little less stringent than some other towns. But with the pressure of putting something on the books, I consider myself fairly knowledgeable. I do have an animal industries degree. I went to school for that. I've been raising animals my entire life. I'm 44 years old, and since I was about 10, we've had animals in my yard and raised them. So I've been around a long time. And I've lived in Douglas all but 4 years of my life. So I've been here a while too. And certainly the town is in my best interest. Now, as far as the animal reg goes, I know some major problems with it were like the permitting aspect of the regulation. And I mean, I don't really like that idea either, to be honest with you. I don't like the idea of having to apply for a permit to keep a farm animal at my house. And that's why part of the regulation says that less than 6 chickens doesn't require that, so you can just have that. That's not a big deal at all. And the regulation, I guess, wants a permit for certain instances, and I would like maybe look at a situation like, you know, the small villages right behind town there, A Street, B Street, C Street, you know, that little area. Pond Street up that way. Those places where people are a little more congested. And I don't know if we should have a land requirement, and I would love feedback, like what, if we do a regulation, what does the land, the minimum requirement for space look like? I mean, I don't want everybody with an animal to have to get a permit. That seems like a lot of paperwork and a lot of resources that don't need to be had. And I think that's where the Facebook posts started getting a little crazy. But that happens when you start something like that with such a negative connotation. But I'm sorry, I digress. The point. I'm not against waiving some fees. Like, I think we came across an arbitrary number of $20 for a permit. I think that's high, too. I am okay with a $5 permit fee, and I would argue in favor of that. Just enough to cover postage to your neighbors if you need a permit. And like I said, I think the regulation's written, if you're zoned agriculture, you don't need anything. You stay the course. There was a census. Do you have a copy of the census? That's it. There was a census. Now, the census, and I read some complaints about that idea, about, I don't know if I want an animal inspector coming on my property. And that sort of goes back to my comment about Dickie Downs, right? He was the animal inspector for many, many years. He won anybody's property. And as an animal inspector, I don't just walk on your property. I view them from the road. I mean, if you know animals, you can tell the condition of an animal from 50 feet away, 100 yards away by the way they're standing. You know, I can look out my bedroom window and tell if one of my goats isn't feeling good that day. And I'm sure anybody in this room who keeps animals can look at their animals and tell from 100 yards away if somebody's not feeling good. So it's not about imposing on your rights or your privacy, right? He did the job just to make sure animals were healthy and kept in a good way. The census is just so that the animal inspector knows where to look. That's the sole purpose of the census. There's no collection fee, there's no permit, it is just, and it's an estimated number. Like, I know I breed goats. Some of the goats have 4 babies out of whack. I'm not keeping all those babies. I have no interest in having a herd of 100 goats in 1 year, you know? So, I mean, we understand it's like the ocean. There's a wave, there's highs and lows. You get a group of chickens, you hatch a bunch of chickens, you're not going to keep all the roosters. People do different things with their animals. The census is really just designed so that the animal inspector knows where to go to inspect the animals. Now, if you don't think animal inspectors should be inspecting your animals, that's your prerogative. I believe that animal inspectors should know where they are, not to keep tabs on people, but just as a way to be able to check their health. And like he did for years. And we have a current animal inspector who has been doing a great job of that. And I look forward to his review. And if you don't, I mean, that's a prerogative that should be discussed, I'm sure. And those will be of varying opinions. You know, some people are going to be in favor of an animal inspector, some people aren't. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I was always in favor of one, and not to police animals. And the animal inspectors, again, and even if he sees that your horse is in a puddle of mud, and you haven't cleaned the stall in 6 months, and its water is covered in flies, he's not going to take your horse. He's not like going to come there with a trailer the next day and load it up and say, nope. You know, probably that would go to animal control, a court system. I mean, in a bad case like that where an animal's being mistreated, I mean, yeah, there would be something, but they're not going to take your animal. They'd be trying to help you at first. If you're older and you're having a hard time cleaning it, maybe put you in touch with somebody who can help you clean out the stall for you. Bleach out your water bucket for you once in a while. There are people and kids in 4-H programs that are willing to help, and the animal inspector, I think, would be one in line to try to help people in that situation. So that was the purpose of the census. So I guess my first, I'll take a couple of questions, but I would like them to be sort of directed towards that animal census at first. Yes, please.
Mr. Howard, please. Lisa Malzinski, 60 Oak Street. Point of order, could you explain the process here? Because the agenda says discussion. Is this a public hearing? We're a little unclear as to where this is going.
No, yes, thank you for the question. Yeah, this is, we're still writing it. I mean, we're still working on like the verbiage and what people, you guys, us, the board, Board of Health, and anybody who wants input and wants to be heard. I mean, we still are trying to develop this regulation.
Mainly a discussion.
It's mainly a discussion at this point. It's not, like, it's still very fluid. Like I said, it reads $20 permit fee. I'm not really in favor of that. I would be very much in favor of lessening that to the minimum that makes sense. I don't really like the idea of having to permit anything, but at some point, yeah, maybe they do. Maybe, you know, if you want to keep 5 goats and you only got a quarter of an acre on B Street, maybe there's a permit process that you should have to go through where you're describing what are you doing with all that manure that you're going to produce from those 5 goats on that quarter acre. You know, what's your plan with that? And that's really all it is. It's a way to make sure that people have an idea of what they're getting themselves into and what they're doing, I guess, and to help them in that sense.
So can I get clarification then? Because if this is a discussion, do you then hold a public hearing? Does this then go to annual town meeting for a vote? How does this work?
I think that would be the way. This is the discussion, and I would imagine we're going to have a couple more meetings where we're still ironing this out, because I'm guessing that we're going to have a lot of feedback tonight that's going to take it back, and we're going to spend a lot of time going over that and rewriting some of these things, I would imagine, some of these points. And I think it's too lengthy, too. I would like to shorten it up and simplify it a little bit. You know, I'm looking at Northbridge's here. I have a copy of that in front of me, and it's only 2 pages. But it's pretty restrictive in what they're allowed to do in that town, and I don't really want to be anywhere near as restrictive as that is. But I'm sorry if that doesn't answer your question totally. This is generally a discussion. I would imagine there'll be a couple more discussions, and then I am not really that good. I mean, there was another comment, something about government and board members, and I am not a government person. I volunteer on this board, and I've just volunteered on it for a long time, and I am just familiar with animals and the process and stuff.
Over here, Corey.
Another question, yes, please.
Becky Gallagher, 2 questions. You referenced census. Are you calling this permit application a census?
No.
Or are you talking about the town census?
No, there's an animal census, another document that was created by one of the people working on this a while back. And they created this, they copied it from another town, and I forget what town it was, I'm sorry. It might have been Uxbridge, might not have been. And it's generally just a census of animals, of what you have. And it's really just for the animal inspector, so he knows when he's going, like, to my house, I would put, you know, 20 goats and 30 chickens. And he would know that he's looking at about 20 goats and about 30 chickens when he comes to my house. Looks at them, sees the water buckets. I mean, I can tell you, my goats eat too much, so they are in pretty good condition. And that would be it.
Okay, my second question is, you made reference to a comment that you said you're being pressured to do this.
Not pressured, I wouldn't say, so maybe I misspoke a little bit. But I would say that there has been a lot of people asking us as a board, do you have an animal regulation in place? Why don't you have one? We should be having one. You know, there's just been a lot of people over the past 10 years that I've been on the board asking those questions. And I mean, I enjoy volunteering my time. I've been doing it for a long time. I can't imagine I'm going to be doing it forever. But I would like to have something going while I'm a part of it, because I trust my opinions of it, I suppose, and my knowledge base. Yes, yeah.
Mike Fitzpatrick, Southwest Main Street.
Yes, thank you.
Following up on Lisa's question, the regulation, does that get put in place through this board or through town meeting?
Town meeting. It would go to town meeting, it would be public. It would go to a vote at town meeting. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, government's not my forte, but
Can you look into that and get some clarity on it?
100%, 100%. Yeah, I'm sorry, yes.
That you were looking at me. My Autumn, Hemlock Street. The animal inspector, I've had animals my whole life. Past 5 years, the animal inspector has not come up. So what is the regulation on when they're coming? Because I know many farms that the animal inspector doesn't go, and we have told them to go, and it's been an issue, and that doesn't seem to be fixed. So what is the regulation on when the animal inspector is going around to all these farms for the permitting that might be put in place?
So they should be going around. Now, like I said, if you're zoned agriculture, and I think even, I don't remember what the minimum land requirement that we sort of set, which was somewhat arbitrary, it was somewhat just a guess, might have been an acre or more, you don't even need a permit, or it might have been 2 acres or more, even if you're zoned residential, you don't need a permit. Permits were only for those small postage stamp lots where people wanted to have more than 6 chickens. That was the only time a permit was ever discussed or required. Animal inspector, I can't speak for him. I assumed he was doing a good job. Your comment leads me to believe that perhaps he's not doing as good of a job as I assumed. I know when I went to as many farms that were on my list every year. I did so in the fall, on the weekends when I was available, usually Saturdays. I drove around in my vehicle and just went to everybody on my list. I made routes, using an old map book, and highlighted them different days so I knew what route I was doing, and I went to everybody's house that I knew had animals and looked at their animals and talked to them briefly if they were home. And if they weren't, just left them a note on the fence or on their screen door, and that was it, and moved on. I would hope that he is doing a better job than what your comment leads me to believe, but that's not my, Now, that comment, I assume that would probably be something that would be good to follow up on, though. So, thank you. Yes.
Angela Rice, Northwest Main Street. So
Yes.
again, I haven't seen the animal inspector in a couple of years either, and I'm pretty obvious and right on the road with my horses. But why are we not more concerned about the inspector coming out? And I understand the census, so he knows where to go. But why are we getting pressure from residents about the permitting? Is that coming from the neighbors of people with animals, or is that actually?
That's more, yes. That's more of it, is the neighbor verbal phone calls, the neighbor complaints of animals. Now, another thing that was going around is that we are a right to farm town, and we are not a right to farm town. And if we were a right to farm town, even if we were, the right to farm rules state that you have to be a farm, which means you're more than 5 acres. And I know a lot of people are doing hobby farms on less than 5 acres. And you have to show profit from your farm. I think it's $3,500. Don't quote me on that. I know people like to quote me. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure it's $3,500. Somewhere in that ballpark. It's just money, and you got to make money off the farm for you to be considered a farm by the state. So even if we were a right to farm town, many of us would not fall into that category. And if you had a complaint from your neighbor about something that you were doing, and somebody went out there and decided you were doing it wrong, a court could certainly tell you to get rid of them.
Most times when you're in the court,
Your name, sir? Sorry.
Michael Loney,
Michael, thank you.
if my neighbor's complaining to you behind my back, that seems like it's like a DEI type of thing, where, oh, he
said.
let his chicken poop over near my fence. That's a bunch of shit. We should have clarity and transparency as to who is saying that you are doing this.
Like
Then
that.
you have a right to come out and say, hey, this is what he's accusing me of, this is what it is.
And wouldn't it be nice if your neighbor could just talk to you?
Well, that'd be even better, but why is it, you're the one who's putting this division into everything.
Yeah.
You're the one that's putting this division in by saying you should have a permit, you should have this, oh, yes, it's this.
I don't think I'm
See,
doing anything.
You said it's other government people pushing you to make this decision, but in reality, it might be a neighbor. But yes, the neighbor should talk to that person first before you start imposing fees and coming over to inspect people.
Well, inspecting has been
I think
happening,
we all know if our animal's doing something wrong.
Yeah.
We all know if our animal's sick, and you're treating us like 3-year-olds. I don't like it.
I don't think I'm treating anybody like anything.
Well, when you're telling me I need to have a fee and I need somebody.
Well, he's not telling you.
I'm not telling you that, sir.
Yes, you did.
No, he's not telling you.
No, I'm not.
So it's part of the discussion, they're trying to come up with a program. in
Right.
which to put-
Thank you. Yeah, we're trying to come up with a regulation that solves a lot of people's problems in one thing, which is obviously not an easy thing to do. The fact is that, yeah, like, you know, so maybe we don't need a regulation at all, and that's certainly an argument against it. And if more people in town say we don't, then it would get voted down at town meeting. We're trying to write something with verbiage that protects us in our right to have animals. It's saying, no, the permit thing was only, if there was an acreage allotment for that. And I think it was 2 acres, and I'm not married to that number of 2 acres, and it was if you're zoned residential. So in order, right now, the way that it says, if you need to pay for a permit, you would have to have less than 2 acres and be zoned residential. Like I said, I'm not married to that. I'm okay with diminishing that to whatever, making it a $5 fee just to notify abutters. And this is if you're going to have a herd of goats, not on an acre of land. This is not, I'm not taking your money, I'm not permitting everybody out there who has a chicken in their backyard or garage, right? That's not the purpose. Purpose is try to protect people and their rights to have animals, not take them away. And that's where, I don't know where the cloud is coming from, but that's just not right.
As Corey said, too, this is a discussion, okay? We're not pointing fingers at anybody, we're not doing that. We're discussing, so if you do have something to air, then we want to hear it. This gentleman over here was...
Joe Fitzpatrick, I live on West Street. I've been in town since 1980. And
Me too.
one other question I got for you. You're saying residential, is that RA or strictly residential areas?
I think RA,
RA.
zoned.
So that takes in a lot of areas that are a lot more than an acre. Okay?
Yeah, and if you're,
10 acres where I am, it's RA.
yeah, so if you have more than, according right now, if you have more than 2 acres, and like I said, I'm not married to that number. If we make it an acre and a half or an acre, I'm game for any type of thing that helps us protect our right to have animals.
My question to you is this. You're saying any residential area. So you're saying technically I would have to get a permit?
No. No, because you have more than the acreage.
You're an RA, so you're exempt.
Oh, you're saying,
Yeah, it's the way he's wording it, and
Okay.
I'm going to help you a little bit with that.
Thank you.
Village residential,
Yes.
right, that's 20,000 square feet of zoning. RA residential agricultural is 90,000 square feet, which is over 2 acres.
Okay.
That's what you're saying is exempt.
Yeah.
Listening to what you're saying and reading through this document and everything else, everybody that's shown up here tonight, I'm going to assume is responsible animal owners. That's why they're here and they're passionate about the animals, okay?
Absolutely.
I think we can all agree on that. The problem that you have is you have a few cases where there was abuse, neglect, whatever we wanted. One of the cases came before my board. I don't know if it came before yours on another board that I sit on. And I don't know how you handled that, and it doesn't really matter. That was yesterday. But moving forward, you should be more thinking about what the violation would be, right? And what fine would be imposed. So if it was a zoning violation, it's $300 a day for your violation, right? And they don't do it on the first day. They'll give you 7 days, 30 days, or whatever to correct your situation. You don't correct it and you want to be stupid about it, then you get a fine, right? As far as imposing a permit fee on people that don't even have a problem, do you know how many horses I have? Do you even know if I have a horse? There's a reason why I asked you that. We've had them for 23 years in town. There's no problem. So why am I getting penalized now, right? You should have something in place that if I become an idiot tomorrow, you come to my place, you inspect it, you find that I'm being stupid about it, and I'm aggravating my neighbors, putting stuff on the fence and everything else, then you have something in your bylaw that has some teeth on it that you can impose a fine. That would be more of a direction. I had a conversation with Christian and about the fee that you were imposing, right? And when we were talking about it, I said, what is this fee for? Well, all the administration costs to cover all this. Well, if you generate the work, you got to pay for it. But if you think of it in a different way and you're imposing a fee on Joe's being foolish with his animals, right? And you have a legitimate complaint, you impose a fee on him, she doesn't have to pay for it. It's not her fault. She didn't do it. I didn't do it, and nobody else here did. It's just a way to think about it. And I would go more in that direction than I would in trying to impose a fee on people that are being responsible about their animals.
And that's why I don't want a fee on anybody. I mean, that was it. It was just a minimum requirement and a permitting. I mean, that was in the fee.
But even a census, right, it's just, I don't know. I'm involved in all this town government nonsense.
Yeah. So the census has been a problem.
At the same time, I'm not into overreach by the government.
So how, if the animal inspector's job, and we all pay tax dollars for an animal inspector in town, is to check on the health of an animal,
Yeah,
how does that animal inspector know where to look?
I don't know. So how many years have been since we had the little yellow tag hanging on our wall when we walked
It's
in?
been years.
Been years.
They
So
have not
it was
come out
probably
to
Mo
our
back in the
property
day,
at all.
they used to come in and put the little thing up on our
Yeah,
wall,
it's been a
right?
long time.
Probably was me.
I have no idea.
It might have been me. Because I loved going. I loved going and doing that job and talking to everybody.
We just, when we first moved in, to come home one day and there's the freaking yellow tag, I'm like,
It was in
oh, all right, so
February.
everything's in good shape, I guess, right?
Was
Opened
anyone
my house
hired?
last
Because
year.
there was applications being submitted, and I did submit one. But never heard back.
Oh, I don't know.
I didn't get enough.
So,
You don't know.
right, exactly, it just gets thrown under the.
Under your
Well, I didn't get an application.
current policy, how do you guys handle it now? If you have a complaint comes in, you address that complaint, or you just ride around and decide you're going to stop wherever?
Yeah, generally, I mean, I would say the animal inspector gets notified, and his job is to address the complaint.
Okay, so why is that not working? Because what I'm seeing here is, what you want to do is you have a problem with me. You're not just addressing me with that problem. You're affecting everybody else. Why not go to whoever you got the problem with and settle that problem? You got people that are responsible, then leave them alone and let them do what they're doing. Okay?
I think the
Because
problem
if you come
is,
up walking on my property, and I don't know who you are, it's probably not going to be a good day for you.
but you don't have no fee base in place, I think that's what you need, right? There has to be some sort of, and you have to vote on that. That has to go through town meeting.
Yeah, there is no fee in
right?
place.
If you come up with a fee, and the maximum you can do is $300 a day, but, and it's not up to, it's whatever the fee is.
But I-
You decide on a fee, or if it's 50.
Why would we charge, why would there, for mistreatment, you're saying? Like, if there was
A violation.
for a violation?
Violation. You could come up with your guidelines.
Of an animal.
You could say that she can't put her chicken coop on the property line, right? If that gets passed at town meeting and you go over there and she's got a chicken coop on the thing, well, you can say, well, you either move that thing by the end of the week or you're gonna get a fine.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly,
That's all it is. It's actually that simple.
we're following the building code regulations for those, for outbuildings too.
For outbuildings, but that doesn't, you can have your pen and you can have the manure pile and everything else, that doesn't fall under building
That's right,
codes.
it doesn't.
There's another regulation that states that your manure pile is going to be 30 feet off the property line. It's a state reg. Yeah.
Oh, Mo came to my house last year, was the last time he came, but he was coming every year.
Yeah, yeah, he's come to my house every year too. I always find the
You
thing.
came to my house a bunch of times.
Yep, yeah. I mean, I tried to do the job as well as I could. Yes, sir, in the back.
30 Wall Street, Craig Willoughby. So you said you're getting a little bit of pressure. You kind of reworded that, massaged a little bit, said there's been complaints from folks. I'm assuming you've compiled those complaints and you kind of put them in buckets or categories to say, okay, here's our biggest issues that we're having. And this maybe is an area where you should start to target instead of casting a wide net. So to piggyback on these gentlemen, like they're saying, you don't have a problem with me, you don't have a problem with them, you don't have a problem with them, you got a problem with one person who's doing the buck pile thing and all the water's running into the neighbors, right? So I'm assuming you guys are gonna come at this with like a very like toe in the water kind of thing, and you're not gonna jump in 2 feet, because I think you're gonna make too many waves, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like being overregulated. I don't like the idea of regulations that set a lot of rules. I mean, for the way things should be. If you're doing things right, why is there a problem?
So do you have a
There's nothing in this town. There is no animal anything in this town, except for one regulation that says you can't have more than 4 pigs on less than 2 acres.
Complaints, so you get phone calls, the chicken's making noise again, the rooster's loud, or
Yeah.
smelling manure. Like, are we ticky-tacky things? Like, I can smell manure again? Or is it that the cow's broken loose and is on my property for the 5th time this week?
Some of them have been like that. Some of them have been ticky-tacky, like the rooster thing. Some of them have been, yeah, like animals loose. I mean, some little things like that. I mean, and actually, that's one thing that I added was an attempt at fencing. Because again, we're not a right to farm town. So if you look at the right to farm, the way that those things are written, there's a lot of verbiage in there that I think is important to have somewhere written down. And that's why, like, I don't know why we keep going back to penalties and hurting people and, like, money. Like, I'm not trying to do that. I want to write a regulation that just says we're allowed to have them. Like, because there's nothing saying we're allowed to. And if you're a right to farm town, you're allowed to if you do those things. I'm trying to word this in a way that just says we're allowed to have them because we can. So if your animal gets out, if you have an attempt at fencing, and maybe somebody, an animal inspector, people go out and say that, yeah, that is a good attempt at fencing, then, you know, maybe you're not totally liable, or like you help your neighbor replant their flowers because your animal got out. But if you have an attempt at fencing, you know, you're not going to have to get rid of everything because of it. Like, it's a, I mean, again, if there's pushback, then whatever. I mean, I'm not fighting the town for something that I think would help people have animals. I'm not fighting people who have animals to write something for people to have animals. That's totally nonsensical. So if that's what we're going to do, then I'm okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not fighting that battle with people because I have animals. So I'm writing it in a way that helps us to have them. And I don't like how the rhetoric keeps going back and pointing at me in some way of not doing something or need to do more.
We have another.
Yes, sir.
Fred Fontaine, Charles Street. Doesn't the State Department of Agriculture already have powers to investigate animal?
Not if they don't know who they are or who has them. I mean, yeah, animal rights are a thing, animal rights and animal regulations.
Why aren't we putting regulations on top of regulations? They already exist.
For animal rights, yeah, but not to have them, not to possess animals. There's no regulation that says we have any right to possess anything.
You started out talking tonight about animals not being well taken care of. If that issue could go through the State Department of Agriculture.
Yeah, that's what the animal inspector would do, and that would be their course of, or that would be their, like, course of action if a complaint came up. That's what I would have done.
Doesn't that already happen? So a complaint goes into the animal inspector.
They would go inspect.
It's already happening without any of this.
Right.
So I don't understand why we need more.
So we don't need more to protect them. We need more to allow us to have them.
A lot of time, well, I'm,
State doesn't have any jurisdiction on under 5 acres.
Yes, sir. Ma'am.
I had a follow-up.
I have to add something to your bucket, instead of being the road that you're going down right now, why don't you add education to this? Education, classes, resources that are available. So you run into somebody that doesn't know where the manure is supposed to be, how to handle it, and stuff like that. Okay, instead of finding him, make it mandatory that he has to
Yeah, I don't want to find anybody. I don't like that idea at all.
attend a class on proper manure management and stuff like that.
Right. The only person I think should be fined is somebody who's doing it maliciously, and I would have a hard time believing that any of us would mistreat animals maliciously. So
Maybe the educational availability of resources, availability of other people that have our model, you know, taking care of the animals, husbandry practices and stuff like that might be a better solution to add to your bucket.
yeah, I mean, and I 100% agree. And I think I have lengthy conversations with people often, helping them through and answer those questions. I've done that on countless occasions, help people like talk through how to handle a situation or better, like neighbor, when I was animal inspector and I got a complaint, you know, I would certainly respond and talk to both people and try to mitigate the situation and try not to tell somebody they got to get rid of their roosters, you know? Lock them up at night, let them out in the morning.
To somehow make who's ever got these resources of the education, making it available to the people in town that it's there as a resource.
Very in favor of that. I think adding educational resources for people so that they know how to handle their manure situations. And I think, again, I mean, so the regulation was heading in the direction of if you had a tiny plot, like a small postage stamp plot, that was your land, your right to be able to have animals on it. Just let us know, a permit, and that was the idea. I'm not saying that's the way it's going to go. We're not taking your money. But a permit to have those animals on that small land so that we can have a conversation, so that we know you're not just getting them and throwing them there and having the manure pile against your neighbor's garage. We can talk about, what are you doing with the manure? Where are you putting it? Are you liming it, rotating the pile? You buying the flies, you know, whatever. Those little fly wasps. You know, what are you doing to handle it? That kind of, where are you putting your chicken coop? You know, you can't be 30 feet off the property line and follow building codes. So maybe we can talk you through like a system, a chicken coop that would be better designed for your situation, being right next to your neighbor's kid's window or something. You know, that was the purpose of this, just so people weren't just blanketingly doing things and then we're fielding complaints and then having to go and solve a problem, right? This is meant to fix a problem before it's a problem, not fine people $300 because they're mistreating their chickens or whatever. You know, I mean, if we're gonna, I don't know. Yes, ma'am.
Fred had a follow-up, and then I have a question and comment.
All right, sorry, Fred, yeah.
Well, I've actually come around to so you want to get 8 chickens, so you have to go to pay for a permit process, you pay for that. I don't know, you didn't set the fee or anything yet. But then also, this says that you have to pass building code to put up a chicken coop. So does that mean there's not a chicken coop in town that would pass building code? Does that mean that you'd have to pay a fee to have to get your building inspector to come out to inspect? So there's another fee there.
Okay, can I intervene on that?
No, I'm next.
I'm a building commissioner, okay? You've got a right to put up any building on your property, it's 200 square feet, 1 story, with no permits. So tell me where the building code is that tells me how to build a building permit.
It's got to meet zoning setbacks.
That's right, that's the only thing. So you're saying you're worried about being on the property line? Zoning takes care of that,
Okay, I won't worry about that.
okay?
That's it.
Building code does not cover that.
I think what I'm seeing, and I'm not an animal expert by no means, but what I see here is you're attacking this man, and he's trying to give you information, as much information as he can.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm trying to correct what he's saying, is wherever he's getting
Well,
information.
man, I'm sorry if I'm using some wrong verbiage. I told you, I'm not a government guy. I'm an animal science guy, I'm a teacher,
Right.
I work my butt off, I raise some goats, and I'm trying to help people out. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
This man is doing the right thing, and he's trying to help more than hinder.
Right, I appreciate the backlash, though. Yes, ma'am.
So, Jane Mosinski, 85 Oak Street. One question, I'd like to hear from others on the board, and what are their thoughts and opinions, and their contribution to the proposal. And 2, perhaps there's a need for a new animal inspector. Perhaps that's one of the root causes of the issues that are transpiring.
Unfortunately, it's very difficult to find that person.
I literally sent an email. I have a picture of this. I can show you the screenshot. I'm a large
Okay, well,
technician.
I say, come on down.
I never received an application,
I
unless I
sent
went into
an
my
email.
spam folder.
I sent an email like regarding questions and what it was based on. And
Maybe it went into my-
response.
Yeah, don't be afraid to come down here and
can always
and
call.
see us, because we're here to help you.
Can I just want to,
Mostly
My hours
Kristen.
don't work.
can I
Go
just
ahead,
want to say
Kristen.
one thing? This all stemmed from complaints that I get from people that
Could you
have,
identify yourself,
yep,
please?
Kristen, I work in the office, Kristen Harris.
Thank you.
I get all the complaints from everybody. I get people moving into town. I'm moving in, what can I have for animals? Can I have 4 horses? Can I have a cow? We have no regulations. I'm going to say, sure. I have nothing, I can't tell them you have a limit. So now these people are moving in next to people, and now there's noise nuisance, there's smell nuisance, there's animals going into people's yards and going to the bathroom, and they come.
Right.
Then I get, what, I'm sorry?
They just stay in the city if they don't like the animals.
Right, but this is what's happening, I know, exactly. I mean, you wouldn't even believe the
I know
calls
you
we
have
get.
done.
But we have nothing, we have no
raise the
regulations, and I have nothing to say to them. And then I get the complaints, and there's really not much I can do. Because I had one neighbor that didn't like his other neighbor, and so he would just keep getting out, well, what's the loudest animal I can get? I'm going to get one of those now. You know, just,
Yep.
and that's exactly what he said, peacock and donkeys, so.
Which,
But there, and there was.
my neighbor has a donkey, I love the sound of that donkey.
But this is where it all stems from. We had nothing written to help anybody.
It's a small town.
It is a small town.
Unfortunately, people ruin it.
But it's not to hurt
Yeah.
people that have the animals. It's
No, again.
It's just to regulate, have some type of regulation, so when,
I mean, if we were, if we could, if we would say that we're not a right to farm town, so we need something saying we have a right to farm, right? That was my, I mean, the basis for the board doing this was because of the complaints. The basis for me doing this was because we're not a right to farm town, and even if we were, there's parameters that a lot of us in town, I know because I have a lot of friends that also raise animals, that don't meet those parameters. So we've been trying to work this in a way, I'm sorry, I will call in.
You're good.
That will,
I'm going to put it down.
that will help not only us continue to be able to have them without meeting the right to farm requirements, but also help those people who, I guess, who are having that this be the downside of their place or whatever, you know? I mean, to help the complaints as well, to give them sort of a leg to stand on in terms of, did you do those things right? And you're right, we have an animal inspector. Those complaints come through, we call the animal inspector, hopefully, and that person goes out, inspects the animals, and does necessary steps. Yes, I'm sorry.
Not really a question, but kind of a big picture look. I know this is a discussion, new here, hi. But it seems like a lot of this is targeted to, that's a bad word. A lot of this is focused on smaller acreage. I think the smaller acreage in the top three that I read, correct me if I'm wrong, was the livestock feed management, manure management, and pest management.
Yeah.
It seems that the three of those, only one of them is really geared towards the animals.
Animal welfare.
To the neighbors' health.
Yeah.
It seems like this is smaller acreage properties with neighbors right next to them that are bothered by the
Yeah.
manure. And I think it's important to look at how small acreage are we looking at, because mine is less than 2 acres. Every single square inch is devoted to the horses.
Yeah.
All of it. We are lucky if we have room to park our vehicles. Nobody can turn their trailers around in my place, because I want my horses in turnout. And it's, the bigger farms or slightly larger acreage, let's say 4, right in the middle of weird 2 and
Yeah.
they've got the bigger bug issue. They've got the bigger manure issue.
Right.
But there's not as many complaints only because the neighbors are not quite as close.
Right, and you would assume that they've put their,
It seems like a neighbor issue for
Yeah,
smaller
more.
acreage lots. And I understand the census idea, if we could go back to that, if I could have a more clear explanation of what the census, is that currently something that's on the books? Or is
No,
it
no, this
that
is,
another idea
this is part of this.
permit or together?
This is part of the regulation, and it would be everybody who has animals would be asked,
And that would just make it aware for the inspector.
just for the animal inspector, so that we have a working list
If
of,
the census were put through and the animal inspector was able to get out there and we have an animal inspector, I know there's one being hired that was going out more regularly, do you think that would solve a lot of the problems of why we're talking about permits? Because we would have an animal inspector that would A, know where to go, but B, would be going out there to help problem solve, I'm sure a lot of this is problem solving with neighbors and informing people that are maybe new to animals or have a small place of
Yeah.
property and can't quite figure out how to make stuff work.
very little is malicious, yeah.
Do you think think that would really solve a lot of the problems of just finding the animal inspector that's committed to doing the job as well as the census, so the animal inspector knows where to go. Would that satisfy the people that want to have the permit process done to be able to live comfortably in their non-animal space?
I think that could help a lot of the problems, yes. I think that could solve a lot of the neighbor problems.
And also solve that everybody's angry about the permit. But it solves a lot
I
of
think,
things if we
yeah.
look at the problem from that end.
Yeah, and I think, I mean,
And then it's not any more money going, well, for the census, I'm sure
Right.
there's a small cost to the census, but really that's information gathering for the inspector.
yeah,
Which is
yeah,
already being paid for the inspector.
Right.
The inspector's job.
right. I don't think that it's,
So we're not creating more jobs.
no, and really, this could go out with the town census. This could, yeah, this could go out with the town census at any point, so this is not like an additional, that much of a thing to have to facilitate. The hardest part of it would be to, tally all those things, but,
I just want to say a few things too. I know that the calls that come in and there's no real great information or any information to give to people new in town or if there's a problem. But it really, there's a huger umbrella around this. It's not really government related. I know the word government keeps coming up. It really had to do with the Douglas and the surrounding towns all looking at this at the same time. So we've had many meetings. We have talked to different people. We have different documents from different towns, and at every single turn, this board has tried to do less oversight, less fees. So when you're kind of on Corey, who has a huge passion for what he's doing, it was never about high regulation, ever. And maybe we didn't convey that along the way, but that's truly what it's been. So I'm going to say, for example, Uxbridge, their fee, if the donkey, whatever, bites somebody is this, we would say, oh no, that's too high for us. So we have always been mostly respectful for people who had animals in town, and that is the truth. And you can giggle and all of these things, but that is the bottom line. It never was this about high regulation. It was more about having people have access, but also to have access if something goes wrong for an animal inspector. And that if there was a call made to the office with Kristen, that she would have something to say instead of, I think, and have something on paper. So it was never about huge oversight. And I want to make that very clear.
thank you.
Thank you.
Just one real quick thing, just for shits and giggles. Has anybody ever decided, hey, I called up and I complained about Joe down the street here? Has anybody ever called Joe down the street and said, hey, your neighbor said this and this is what's going on, maybe you want to talk to him? That could solve a lot of problems.
Yeah,
And
We've done that every time.
If that doesn't work, then it comes down to.
No, that's how it always,
that's how we always do it.
we'd rather have it be solved that way.
That's how we always do it.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was another comment about like putting a 200 square foot building right on the line. I mean, I guess if it's not a building code, then yeah, you could do that right now. And that's sort of another thing this says, is that if you're able to minimize the impact on your neighbors, then we would like you to try to minimize the impact on your neighbors, if you can, if it's doable. If you have the space, why would you put it right there next to their house if you have a big open area over here? I mean, it's not saying we're telling you what to do and where to do it, but move it over. I mean, and then maybe they range on the property line. What are you going to do? It's your property. If you want to range them, then you can range them. Mike, yes.
Just some clarity. So, first of all, I don't think anybody here is attacking you. Unfortunately, you chose to do the job that you're doing, right?
Fortunately, I'm happy that I'm here.
Sometimes I'm sitting in the same seats and get the same aggression, for lack of a better description.
That's perfect.
Let's go back to the fee that I was talking about, right? That's not for the average person that their horse is standing in a mud puddle or their chicken's out of control, right? That's for somebody that you have no other recourse to get them in compliance.
A chronic issue.
That's for an extreme case, right?
Yep.
You're going to go out, you're going to try to work with whoever the animal owner is and try to resolve your issues. I've talked to Kristen about this before. One of the things that you're lacking is your animal regulation. You don't have one, right? Now, you talked about having 4 goats in village residential. You'd be kind of hard pressed to go down on C Street and put 4 goats in one of those.
I've seen them.
I don't care if you've seen them, no regulation. This is what I'm saying
Right.
you need to look at, right? You shouldn't have a horse down there, you shouldn't have a cow down there or anything else. Could they have chickens? They're smart about it. There's no reason why they can't, especially at $6 a dozen, everybody's getting chickens. That's the new thing, right? Next week will be the AI, they'll be trying to figure out how to do something with the chickens. But getting back to the penalty,
Yeah.
that's just for your extreme case, right?
Right.
But you have to have something. Otherwise, all you're gonna do is
Yeah.
call up Joe, hey, your chicken's out, yeah, that's nice. Click.
So that requires a regulation of some sort.
What's that?
That requires a regulation of some sort.
No, I get it, and that's what I'm trying to help you
Yeah.
get around. I can sympathize with the fact that emotions got to you a little bit and you felt like you were getting attacked. Nobody's attacking you, everybody's passionate and sitting in the room, so they're saying whatever, and it's just all part of the fun, is what I always say. But you gotta look at the individual lots. If you're an RA, you're 290,000 square feet, unless you're being really foolish with your animals, you should be able to have animals there without a problem.
Without a problem.
Now, you talked about peacocks. Larry across the street has the peacock. We hear them all the time, whatever. It doesn't bother me. I don't care if somebody had a rooster next to my house.
No, it goes away.
I actually kind of like the rooster, right?
My window is the closest one to my roosters.
Right. It doesn't, Keith Menard doesn't like roosters, but that's all right. I always remind him of it.
I read that.
But anyways, just getting back to that, you really should look at the smaller compact areas and just figure it out from there.
And that's kind of what we're doing. That's sort of the design of that whole permit thing, which that was an uproar. I mean, believe me, I'm not charging $20 anymore. I'm not voting that down. But in any case, the permit was just for that reason, just so we could have people have a discussion about what they're doing on that small area. It wasn't even like thinking about if things go south and we need to find people at all. I wasn't even thinking that, but you're right. I mean, that should be part of the recourse if things aren't good.
The last thing, I don't want to pay you a $10 fee, right? So the last thing I want is a $300 penalty.
Right.
So, but you have to have something to be able to use it in your favor and to get, this guy over here is out of control with, he's got 6 horses, 12 goats, and 47 chickens.
On an acre.
And he's only on an acre.
Right.
And Dickie's over there complaining about him. Well, you got to have something if he doesn't want to smarten up, then turn around and say, well, if you don't do it within 30 days, we're going to have to fine you so X amount of dollars per day. It
Right.
just gives you something to work with. Right now, you have nothing, right?
No.
Regulation-wise, I'd start in village residential and spread out from there. As you get into the bigger pieces of property, there is nothing to talk about.
I mean, the other side of this, I still wanted to protect people with bigger properties in their right to have animals altogether, being a not to right to farm town. If you have 5 acres of land and your neighbor starts complaining about your peacocks making all this noise, they want to take you to court or something. We have no regulation in town saying you can have peacocks. Like, it's okay for you to do that. So part of my thought was just to say it's okay for you to do that.
I think it is already. I could just say that my horses are my transportation. Right? No, seriously.
Well, you can't say that about a peacock.
You can if you can ride it. I couldn't. I'm
So
too big.
there's-
But anyway, that's just my.
I mean, and that's just the other side. I understand that
Not
that's,
here trying to attack.
No, that was a
anything
big
else. It's
part.
just trying to get to.
I understand you're not, Mike.
That's all.
I understand you're not, Mike.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So this kind of follows up to what Mike was saying. Tell me if I'm reading this wrong. No permit shall be issued to keep a farm animal in any lot of land containing less than 1 acre. That's what it says.
Yeah.
So then wouldn't it be anything in village residential, because that's 20,000 square feet.
Or in RA. I'm on 1 acre in RA, so I couldn't have horse.
Or a goat, or a,
I had one for 30.
That's the state reg?
no, that's in your draft.
Oh, the draft?
Must be pre-existing non-conforming.
Yeah, is there a
No, but RA now is 90,000 square feet.
We've talked about the grandfather, about our grandfather clause, but.
We did talk about that.
What's the number is that? I didn't really like the way that was worded, Bill. Oh, yeah, that's the one. Yep, I had that highlighted. Yeah, yeah, I didn't like that either. So, yeah, so he's referencing a part of the reg that we're still reworking that I also had highlighted with some notes next to it because I also didn't really like the way that was worded. And,
Where is that? What's
and the
that?
restrictive. That was page 4, Roman numeral II, number 2. No permit shall be issued to a farm animal. I didn't
I just
really.
want to say one thing. We didn't write these. These were written by a health inspector that we use as a regional health inspector that took bits and pieces from different towns around here. So we didn't sit down and write this. He collected everything, and we're just looking over it and making our own.
Modifying
So
it
this
where-
isn't something we wrote that said, this is what we're feeling right now. This is,
Understood. So you'll be going through this again?
yeah, this is not.
Oh, this is the
not
third
what we-
time.
Crossing out both.
Right.
This is third time we've gone through it.
Upset.
Appreciate your efforts, thank you.
Yeah, we
Yes.
didn't write this.
Yeah, I did not write any of that. That whole paragraph, that's why you saw it in my book. It's highlighted because as I was rereading this, I was like, I don't really like a lot of that paragraph right there because I didn't necessarily agree with it. Yes, ma'am.
So, Lisa Melzinski again. Considering the feedback tonight, I would like to recommend that you throw this one out. Because this doesn't meet the needs of the people in the room. I don't think it meets the needs of people who have animals on small acreage. I think maybe we need to go back to the drawing board and pass a right to farm bylaw so that we can protect the people who want to, and then look at restricting the smaller acreage so that we don't run into problems. But also hire an animal inspector who does their job. And lastly, I just want to add, believe it or not, this town has a website. And there's the Manchot Pond Foundation, there's the Bay State Horse Riders Association and others who know how to take care of animals, who know how to make sure they don't the offal doesn't pollute anything. And you can put that up on your webpage to help educate people tomorrow. Do it tomorrow, because frankly, there's not a lot animal-based on that website.
No, there isn't.
So that's an easy way to start educating people.
Could you form a subcommittee?
That's a great idea.
Form a subcommittee with local animal owners to help you with this?
I think that's a great idea.
Some regional.
I think that's a great idea. So that way we can write this in a way that makes sense for everybody.
Involved in it, that from different, she's a vet.
I will help
right?
you.
Whatever.
Here's in the field.
I see a volunteer over
She will help you. She will help
We may have
you.
a volunteer.
We've done this a long time.
I'm in favor of that. Because I still feel like we need something like a right to farm, but that isn't as restrictive. I feel like the right to farm is pretty restrictive, and that would cover 5 people in this room. A right to farm, everybody else would not be covered under that anyways. And I feel like,
We're a town, not a, you don't have to go by the state guidelines, we're our own town. So you can make the right to farm at a 2 acre or a 3 acre and move it up. You don't have to go by the state law.
I think starting with a subcommittee would help you a lot.
I think so too.
You guys put this out there, so we're kind of reacting to it, which is tough, and I feel like you're on your heels because you want to do the right thing, which I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
What's tricky is that if I'm coming to somebody else and saying, I'm gonna put this out there and you have to follow it, if somebody's hearing things like I heard today, like, oh, Douglas is trying to get rid of animals, it's like, wait, that's what I heard.
Well, that's what Facebook said, yeah, I know.
On Facebook.
I know, I read that post. I was like, whoa, somebody's misinformed.
It's a great idea, because you need to scrap what you have, say, here are the issues that we're seeing, we need to figure out how to kind of put a fence around that, okay, and then leave it open to interpretation. Let give the animal inspector some wiggle room, because if you try to pen folks in, I think that now you're feeling the pushback of like, I don't want this, I don't want that, and you're saying, well, I was gonna cross that off anyways. So a subcommittee to get folks to boil up something that actually would make sense to everybody.
Yeah.
Great start.
Yeah, and I mean, that's, this meeting was before, 50 people showed up. This meeting was to talk about the reg and to rewrite some of those things and those highlighted points, and was to take those things and remove those. It's, like I said, it's still very fluid. Today was not meant to be a giant town discussion with everybody who has a goat. It was really meant to be like us discussing it and bringing it down more before we brought it. But inevitably, social media brings things to a different light, and it came up. So yeah, we weren't ready for this discussion yet. This was not there yet. This was not, I've got pages of notes on the back of this thing about things I wanted to do with it tonight, which obviously we're not getting to tonight because we all have other things to do too. But yeah, I had pages of notes because this was not the final draft. Now, I don't know as though we should totally throw this out the window, because
I don't agree with that. I think you use it as a template.
there's a lot of still good template stuff in here.
Bullet points, but I don't think.
And there's
a lot there that maybe isn't so.
Right, there's pieces of it. So we've been really hung up on this idea of permitting and people with less than 2 acres and fines, and we still haven't addressed any of the talk and right to farm if you have more than farm acres. We still haven't talked about any of the people that fit in that 1.5 to 5 acre range, and what is their right to have. We haven't addressed that at all, and that's part of what this was supposed to address, was the people in that bubble that don't follow, that aren't a farm by state terms, but are still hobby farming and enjoying their animals in their backyard. I saw this as more of protecting those people than anything else. And that would still be my direction with it, unless people don't feel we need that. Like I said, I joined the board to like help people, not to.
Corey, you're looking to get this ready for Springtown meeting?
No, I don't think, that's what was the initial 3 months ago, yeah. Today, no.
You may be able to get there. I think if you got a subcommittee together and just got some fresh thoughts in there, enough discussion's gone around about this, that.
Yeah, I hope we set a lot of it straight.
Right? So people sitting in this room understand what the flavor of the discussion is. So you should be able to get some good feedback from it.
I thought that the last meeting too, and then I was very surprised at the way it was taken on social media. But again, things become like,
if you pay attention to it,
become out of proportion, right?
Attention to social media is going to eat
People
up all day
focus
long.
on the wrong aspects.
I would get back to your own.
As a template.
Your own group, use that as a template, get a subcommittee going, and work on it, and you can easily achieve that by spring.
Yeah. I'm in favor of that.
You're not that far off it.
Yes.
Just going to give you a little bit of maybe help. You probably want to review your zoning bylaws. You're talking about buildings being put on a line and stuff. That's covered under zoning, okay? If they put a building on the line, no matter what size, you have to get a permit for it, and you have to go through the zoning board of appeals. So you already have that in place. If you use it to your advantage, it's going to help you out.
Good point.
So we can reference those in the regulation
It's
too.
all property line setbacks.
I think,
Yeah.
Corey, I
I'm
think,
not in a rush, keep going.
I'm not in a rush, I'll sit here.
Yep.
No, you go.
I think part of it references that.
I was going to make a motion to form a subcommittee.
yeah.
Could you?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
if you want to go.
So I like the idea of this subcommittee, but having somebody with building zone knowledge, as well as the farming. I think a lot of the people in the very small and you're pissing your neighbors off kind of acreage, as well as that weird in between, you're not really a farm, but we farm better than big farms do at our size.
A lot of the small ones have to.
So,
You have to.
having a mix of there's got to be regulations. Otherwise, when people call, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, Christy?
Kristen.
Kristen, when they call you and say, hey, can I have 10 donkeys on my 50 square feet? You need something, I understand that, but the idea of using, like, I get the social media war, that people are upset, and all of a sudden you're getting hit with this tidal wave of now new stuff, with mostly just people are angry. But putting that information out there about the right to farm, I don't think people understand the right to farm. I think they see it as like, oh, we have a right to farm, we do whatever the hell we want. That's not what it is.
No.
I don't think people understand.
I didn't understand it
But
until I really looked into it.
Putting together a subcommittee saying, we need some kind of regulations for our town. Our town has nothing, because
Right.
we've always been so good about animals. We've got nothing, we don't regulate you. But we kind of need something at this point, so let's put together a group of town people.
Comprehensive thing.
Right there.
You know, so we're focusing really on the
Yeah.
problem of there's no regulation.
Yeah, that has been the goal, and that's why I said, like, there is so many things that are highlighted in this on my document here, and notes all over the place. Like I said, this was not meant to discuss this as this was gonna be it. Our meeting here was meant to discuss this for half an hour and take out pieces and add pieces, and then go back to the drawing board and reprint another copy for the next meeting.
Corey, you have another?
And then this happened, you know, so, I mean, it is what it, and this needed to happen. This was good because, I mean, people needed to know that it wasn't, I think there was a lot of, like, false, like misinformation and people thinking we were trying to do something very different than the scope and purpose of this ever was to do.
I think just because it wasn't wording from the board, this was, you pulled something out of other towns, and this town is special because lots of people, everybody has an animal here.
It was mainly just to
Everybody.
throw it out there, and
It's just some of the things in it
Discuss.
were pretty
Yeah.
intense, and I think that's.
I think it was a very worthwhile meeting tonight.
Yeah.
I feel, and thank you, Michael, for helping us out, too. I appreciate your
Yeah,
help.
only other follow-up comment I would have, he's going to make a motion to form the subcommittee.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily jump right into it tonight and form your subcommittee, but amongst yourself, think about how you want it to comprise of, whether you want people from a zoning standpoint or building standpoint, animal, whatever it is that you want, the makeup of it, and how many people you want on it. You don't want it to, what's that?
All of it, a mix of everybody, everybody in the pot here. And
A mix
town
of it, but you
residents.
need to know how it's going to be comprised. Master plan had like 13 or 20 people on the foolish thing, right? You're not going to be productive doing that. If you have a half dozen people, 4, 5, 6 people, you're going to get to the finish line
Faster
very,
than
very
13,
quick,
14.
right?
Right.
It just, make sure you put some thought into it. I'm not telling you what to do, but.
No, I think we
nothing to you.
need
Just,
somebody, we need a couple
Take a
people.
deep breath, figure out how you want it made
Yeah.
up, what their charge is going to be.
Right.
And then you're going to have much better results.
Right, I agree, we need like a person from small lot, person from medium, somebody who's got 20 acres and, you know, full
You're
on.
going to want somebody out of village residential.
And then,
that
right,
understands
right.
what that makeup is.
Yeah,
Right.
one question over there.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Jesse Halter, 19 U Street.
Yes.
All the talk tonight has been based on property size, and the reality is that has little to do with nothing, really, because it's really, like this lady said here, they have 2 acres, but 1.5 to 1.7 of the property is like dedicated to the horses. and
1.99.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So the property size has very little to do with the reality of it. So maybe put in wording that's more like usable land for the farm, and part of the plans that you're talking about needing to have for where is the property, where is the lines, where's the, that needs to be a better part of it. Because
Zoning.
in the previous
Which
meeting,
is
you
property
mentioned,
size.
oh, 2 horses are fine in 2 acres, and then from some of the other regulations in town. And then you said, well, the reality is 2 acres and a half acre is more than fine in some cases, if the situation's right. That kind of stuff also has more importance, especially for the neighborhood concerns. For in residential neighborhoods, a lot of the properties in this town are 150, 200 feet wide and 10,000 feet long.
Yeah.
So you have these really skinny properties. So you're going to have close proximity, even if the property size technically fits residential agricultural, residential commercial, full farm. Like, it really all depends on the individual properties. And you've mentioned that in your previous meeting as well, that needs to come up as important, because site visits or inspections need to be done to really assess the situation on its individual basis. And a lot of those complaints were based on that. It's, every single one has to be done as well, because there is no property town map that says, oh, this fence is this size, and you don't have that regulated for a property. You don't have that
Right.
level of detail.
Mary Ann?
Right.
We're in agreement with that and really talked about exemptions
Usable land.
as well. Usable land, but exemptions in some situations for the reasons that you said, because everything isn't the same.
Yep.
And we know that.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Zach.
There does need to be a lot of individual
Absolutely.
assessments, because.
Which really helps.
Yeah.
The idea of applying
It
for a
isn't
permit
black and white.
individualizes it.
Yes, and
Hey,
we're very aware of that.
Okay, I think we're,
Yeah, so Bob, I'd like to make a motion that we form a subcommittee that comprises at least somebody from different specialties to include building and zoning, husbandry/agricultural, animal welfare, residential, and public health, but additional categories to be determined as prudent necessary.
okay, discussion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, the ayes have it.
I have a question. Will this subcommittee's meetings be posted and the public be allowed to attend?
Should be.
Should be? You're not sure?
I'm not sure. Know the answer to that. Maybe,
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. You may have to table this until your next meeting because you didn't have it on your agenda.
Oh, that's true.
Because it's under discussion only.
That's true.
Right.
I'll give my brother credit.
Wouldn't that fall within, Mike, wouldn't that fall within the 48 hours?
You may have to put that on the next agenda.
Okay.
Mike, wouldn't that fall within the 48 hours?
No, because it's not on the agenda because it's under discussion, so you already had it posted as a meeting. So you couldn't use the 48-hour exemption on that.
Okay.
all right, so we'll table that.
I retract it, but we will make a motion on that in the.
Well, you can make a motion to, or suggest to the chairman to put it on the next agenda.
Yeah, on the next
Put it on the
agenda.
next.
And at that point, you'll probably, now that everybody's heard it, you'll have plenty of time to figure out how you want to comprise it. You can just move it quicker.
Okay.
And people would be able to offer their volunteer efforts to be on the committee if they'd like to.
Anybody sitting in the room wants to put their name in the hat,
There you go.
just contact Chris.
Yeah, can we have a list? Can we get a piece of paper so we
Yeah,
can
piece
make
of paper,
a,
pass it around, yeah.
Can I ask a question on how the
Comprehensive list.
subcommittee works? Is that a confidential, we're not sure yet if that's a confidential committee meetings or if those are
No, that's a
open
public meeting.
public meetings?
Yeah, that's
So
a
what
public-
are the parameters on, yes,
What's
we're
that?
talking about different individuals from different aspects going into the subcommittee. Is it openly acceptable for that one, let's say, building zone person goes out and talks to the other building zone people and say, what are your thoughts here, brings it to a meeting, after that one meeting goes back to the group of people? Like, is it okay to bring in from others in that, not bring them necessarily to speaking in the meeting, but to bring the input back from each person's area
I think if
to
it,
get more eyes on this?
whatever ends to the means. Yeah, or whatever means to the ends, I guess, yeah.
If you're going to have somebody from building and zoning, then they would be knowledgeable in that. They wouldn't have to go out and talk about it. It's like-
Just using an example, I
Like
haven't eaten
Joe's a
today, so
building
I'm trying to
commissioner.
pull something from
Joe's a
somewhere.
building commissioner in his
But
town.
horse people,
We would have to
say
go
there's a
out
horse
to the
husband.
community, get all the ideas, and then.
Go back to your community to,
Yeah, but in zoning, you wouldn't have to do that.
Okay,
really.
just an
I've been the
example.
vice chairman of zoning since 2013 or some bullshit. Joe's the building commissioner in his town, which deals with zoning. So and that was the whole point of making that suggestion, so if it's.
yeah, so you've got all the
If it's
regulations.
animal health, right?
Yeah, so there we go, those are the words I was looking for. So an animal health person could go back to other animal health people in the community and say, thoughts. And
If you wanted
You know,
to
in
do,
our-
if you wanted to do that outside your meeting, but then you couldn't talk to
agreed,
a
not in the
quorum
meeting,
in
but
which, in your group outside of.
we bounce ideas off each other till we find things that work for solutions like manure management. You have a couple of your friends come over and be like, help, this is getting out of control, let's problem solve. We work as a group to problem solve.
Right, and I think putting those references on the website would be even a great idea as part of this, you know.
Right to farm, correct information on the website would be super
Yeah,
helpful.
so people aren't misinformed about that aspect of it, because there was a lot of misinformation about that.
Done, Christian would be much happier.
How many peacocks can I have?
How much land do you have? I think too, the outreach for the subcommittee should be beyond
Just,
everyone here, right? I mean, we're going
Well,
to put a
yeah.
call out.
Well, the
Right.
subcommittee's going to report back to you guys, right, with their conclusion.
Yeah.
I think for,
It's
What I'm
going to take
saying-
some of the headache off of your plate is what it's going to do.
So you mean for composition
It's just
of
a
it?
focus
Yes.
group. on it.
Beyond.
So-
I think it's a great idea.
we can post that we're the intent
When-
will be to form a subcommittee to discuss the
Right, the
proposed
public.
animal rights.
The next time we have this, everybody can attack the subcommittee.
That's right.
I like that idea better.
Deflection.
Yeah.
I nominate Corey as the chairman of the subcommittee.
Right. Everybody can
Well, I
follow
think-
that guy out to the car.
So hopefully, Corey, that was helpful for you.
I think it was, Mike. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a
You feel
lot.
much better than you did about 15, 20 minutes ago. That's good.
I was feeling fine, but yes, I feel much better now. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Much
All-
appreciated.
All is well, folks? Well, I
All
say
right.
have a good evening.
Yeah, I think we've talked about the animal reg enough. I think we're going to, next meeting, we'll talk about a subcommittee. We'll put something together, and we'll try doing that.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate. I don't know how this would have went if you weren't here, Mike, so thank you.
Well, we got one way, go ahead, I'm done.
Wait, you guys don't want to talk about the transfer station? Stay.
I know, everybody's leaving, but we got a really fun-packed agenda here. We're only on item number 1.
The transfer station, come on.
We got a lot of good
This
stuff.
is only the beginning.
We got a lot of good stuff coming up.
Good job, Corey.
I brought little to the best.
They came out with guns.
Yeah, I had to raise my voice.
I don't blame you.
Well, the two guys in the front started yelling at me. Only 2 people are left yelling, my wife and my mother. And my mother, she doesn't yell at me anymore.
Oh, well.
So those are the only 2 people. 2 people.
Believe me, I understand. I just have my wife. That's more than enough.
That's more than enough, right?
So thank you
Right.
for speaking up, you know, like you both. That
In fact, I
was a
screwed
good
up just
thing.
before
You know
I
what?
left here.
You,
I don't,
I know.
that's good.
yeah. And then and everybody.
All right, buddy. All right, I will. We'll be in touch. Thank you, bud.
Who's that?
Kristen, before I forget it, would you put a revision number on these as we revise?
Yeah, I haven't done any of these.
Yeah.
This is all, yeah, I'll have, well, yeah.
And then
I guess we're starting fresh.
wants to be on it. Yeah, yeah.
the revisions that we've worked on.
Cow farmer.
I mean, there are at least 3 here tonight, and I'm
Well,
saying,
one's Northbridge,
Yeah, one's not, yeah.
and the other one
No, I
should all be the
understand.
same, because I sent it to
but
everybody.
I spent my time reading
I keep
one.
forgetting to bring it. I
Useless.
Yeah, I know
I
it.
get here and I go, shit, I should have had it.
I
That was one of the
reread it
longest
on my
ones we've
phone
had.
today, which was
That's,
small.
What'd you say?
So I took notes, but.
Yeah.
I took the last one that Stacy did,
That was a long
which is the
discussion.
one I sent out last.
But I
But you know
think,
what?
Well, we,
It's
you
not
know,
gonna
the
be
thing
all-
is, these people that came out tonight, they, this is important to them.
Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, give
This
them
is
credit,
like-
give them credit for coming out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, and sitting here, because
People can be
I mean,
There was a lot of
they're devoted
misinformation.
to what they do.
I think at the end, this young lady over here got to the point of, we don't have anything, so we have to have something. Like, that's the, you know what I mean? Like, we have to start somewhere. Yeah, we have to start
My
somewhere.
dog will die in a year or two.
I tell you, Mike was a big help.
Yeah, he mitigated a lot of that.
Thank you.
He certainly knows, he knows the procedures, too.
Right. I do not. I don't know that stuff.
How could you,
No.
you know?
No.
Unless you took a
All
right.
civics course or
Right,
something.
right. And that guy, when he came up and he saw that his major problem was the thing I had highlighted in here too, so
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
like, oh, like, yeah,
I
you're
think
right.
people thought we wrote this.
So-
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and this
yeah,
was
yeah,
it. Like, they didn't realize this
Do we want to
meeting-
continue on the
Yeah.
agenda?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
let's
we
keep going.
do.
Yeah, yeah. Enough of that.
Okay,
Next
Corey,
week.
could you read the next one?
Number 2, transfer station discussion. How we doing there?
Well,
It's still
do
standing.
we have some people here that want to speak up about the transfer station?
And there better be passion about it, too.
Oh, that must be us.
Yes?
Yeah, well, so, you know, we're here to talk about the transfer station and how to make it a better transfer station.
I like that.
Do you have some proposed regulations you'd like to?
Maybe we should form a...
Yeah, I'd be careful with that. I'd be careful.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, there's a couple of things that need to take place over there to bring it up to date. Like, you know, for instance, some of the containers that we keep the recyclables in. You know, some of those things are outdated. You know, they look like that rusty car that's been in the yard for 20 years.
Don't we have?
It's a bunch of liability up there. There's, you go in the back, they're all rusted, there's. they
Somebody was
replaced
supposed to
one.
go there from BP.
Somebody just replaced one. They did replace one, but a lot of them are rusted out in the back where they dump them out. I don't even know how the DOT hasn't pulled them over.
They were
One that
supposed
had
to
the
come when
cans
you
in was
guys,
all rotted on the bottom. One that takes the glass out was all rotted on the bottom.
yeah, I know, and they were supposed to come look at
They
them.
replaced the glass one, not the tin
Did they come
cans.
talk to you, or?
They didn't talk to us.
Oh, there must have
We
been.
keep, every time we call them to pick up containers, we keep reminding them.
We have
Yep,
two
because they
separate-
were going to send someone out.
We have
and
two separate types.
Look
We
at
have ones
everything.
that doors slide, others doors fold
Swing,
open.
yep.
There's little like 4 to 6 inch bungee cords that hold them
Right,
open.
I told them that
So
they were
when the wind
missing.
blows, they're hitting the tendons and they're hitting,
So they didn't replace any of those?
they haven't replaced them yet.
They haven't done anything. Only thing they replaced was the glass container, and that was it. You know, and they put an old container there, but they just painted it brown, which it looks better
Looks
than
good
the
now,
other,
but give it
the
some
other
time.
7 that's there.
Okay, I would like to, as I mentioned to you, Kristen, I'd like to meet with Gary or one of the
Yeah.
crew chiefs down there. I think anybody else on the board that would like to, join me.
Is that the BP guy? That's it.
The BP. We have to sit down and have a discussion with him, and it's mainly for information. In other words, we've got to look at a situation where, we're going to have to put things up for bid here, because it's getting a little out of hand. They kind of rule the roost, and they, excuse the pun.
Nice.
But,
Nice, Bob.
yeah. But seriously, I think that, I personally would like to meet with him, discuss, maybe a better solution to the problem up there.
Stickers,
Stickers.
March 1st. Are we giving them a grace period? What are we gonna do?
No.
No grace period?
No.
Okay, because we had to sign up for 2 months now.
Yeah.
The other crew, not my crew, the other crew had an incident a couple weeks ago, a week ago. Somebody showed up asking them about, hey, you want to tell?
So, 2 different people came through. One guy was a young guy driving through in a vehicle. I seen him, he kept looking at the building, so I'm looking back at him, and you could tell something wasn't right.
Yeah.
So I stopped him, and I noticed he didn't have a sticker. And he says to me, where do I put the motor oil? So, since last summer, we've had residents putting motor oil in the compact.
Oh, yeah, that's been going on for a while.
Yeah, so it's probably been going on for a while.
Yeah.
But we also had another lady who came through.
Kind of lubricates everything,
Yeah, well, that's great, except for when it starts running down that water drain.
I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
Because I live down the hill, don't forget.
Yeah. So, there was another lady that came through, and she mentioned to me that no one said to her anything about a sticker. So people just drive through that place. They don't even stop because there's no checkpoint there. It's just a drive-through.
That's true.
As fast as you can drive through that, and you
true.
can throw your trash out, you can be out of there before someone even steps out of the building and
Right.
waves you off.
So what do you recommend?
I see what he's getting to.
Yeah.
I think that's like most trash places, everywhere you go. There's
Everyone I've been
always,
there.
like,
Right.
you drive through a thing and there's a guy in a booth.
But what I'm
We have
saying
a guy
is,
in a booth, but there's
There's
no
a
sign.
checkpoint as you stop.
But the
Like you
booth
said.
is 15 feet away from the
Right.
drive. Like,
Yes.
in every dump I've ever been to, like, you go to and those Nantucket, I mean, don't even talk about that one. That one's horrible. You can't do anything there.
My God.
And there's people, like, ready to take you out if you do.
The Webster transfer station is like that. You can't go past the checkpoint until an attendee comes to you, sees how many bags you have, what you have to throw out.
yep.
And
Yeah.
what you're there for.
So
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe we have to think
We have to
about
look at that,
the
yeah.
relocation of that shed or something. I mean, I know all the plumbing, electrical, it's all right
Well, I
there.
think that if
I
we,
wouldn't relocate the shed.
But
well,
you need,
We can step out of the shed.
But there
They
should be a
need to
sign.
stop.
He just needs
There
to-
has to be
wants
a
to
sign
Stop 'em.
that says everybody has to stop.
yeah, but you say you can come out of the shed, but then you go back in and somebody's coming up
yeah, you
behind
need,
you. You know what I'm saying? It's
you
gonna
almost
be-
need a booth.
You
Yeah.
need something that prevents them from going on until they,
I think that's a really good, I mean, that might solve.
signage, I don't know if signage would do it, because we have so many signs up there, it takes you an hour and a half to read them.
Well, it'd have to be with bigger letters, because.
Some of the signs that are up there are unreadable.
Yeah.
We got a one-way, do not enter sign, you can't even tell what it is.
Just cut it down. Just cut
That's what I'm saying, we've got so many signs
Yeah,
up there
just take
now
those ones
that-
out. If you can't, if it doesn't make sense, get rid of it, because too many signs,
We'll have
people
to
aren't going to
keep
read.
the ones that,
Yeah, the new ones
Yeah,
that
the
are,
new
like,
ones, yeah.
that are good, but yeah,
Yeah,
those
some of
old
the other
ones.
ones.
But I think that's a great idea, some sort of
Yeah.
a stop sign with a booth
Because
so that,
eventually, there's going to be either an incident, an accident. I've pulled out a 5-gallon bucket of tar, there was an explosion, a laptop battery somebody threw in the compactor,
Yeah.
it blew up.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
lucky to get it before it was squeezed in. There's been oil in there, there's liquids, we don't even know what it is, and
Yeah,
it's going to become a financial liability for the town if something hazardous
yeah.
that's true.
goes
For
down
sure.
that drain or gets spilled, because we don't have,
And we
can't
have,
mitigate that. You gotta have a special
That's
team
right.
come in here.
Yeah, I think a checkpoint. Now, the summertime, you don't really need a booth, but the wintertime, you need somewhere to be out of the weather where you can just open a window, talk to somebody right there, and then let them go.
the other thing too is, what you had mentioned about the oil, which is a serious problem. I didn't mean to make it sound like, I don't care, but it's a serious problem, because not only are we polluting, but we're also being recorded as being polluted, because we have inspections that people go on the property, they check to see what the soil, the content of the soil, we have a little river going down there,
Likely wrecking the
content of the, so, yeah, we've got to look at that. That's important.
How about if we sort of did on a rotating basis between now and the 1st of March? And so we get to do a half a day standing there?
You want to do it?
I'd do a half a day.
What, no, it's not a voluntary thing. I think this is something that, it's part of the operation up there.
Yeah, it needs to be part of the job.
It has to be part of the
It's taking
job.
control of the
But
yard.
what it does,
Right now, we have no control.
We have no control.
They dispose of whatever they want, wherever they
Yeah.
want. You go to cardboard, you find food. You go to tin
I
cans, you
get
find
you.
glass.
Right.
They don't sort, they don't separate,
But-
and they want to throw and go, and they don't care.
But-
They'll look at you and tell you, that's your job. That's
And you'd
not-
recognize
That's a
the abuse.
That's a transfer station.
Yes.
It's not a
Yes.
recycling center, and it's not a sorting center.
Right.
You'd be able to say, like, hey, didn't I just check you through 2 weeks ago? How many decks do you have in your backyard, Like,
Oh, well, you guys, I can't wait for the cameras to go up so everyone can see what's going on and what
Well,
we deal
here,
with.
because
Me and him,
we get
we're the
attacked
new
with
guys.
profanity every day up there.
Yeah.
I'm called the cardboard Nazi, because it says right on the containers, flatten and cardboard only, flatten all cardboard.
Right.
They throw trash in there, they don't flatten it. And the thing is, they're so intelligent, if they're all Amazon or delivery boxes, they all got their name and address on them.
So what you guys were just dealing with here, from this little bit of people,
Yeah.
we deal with
every day.
1,000 of people.
Saturday's
Yeah.
the worst day. Saturday is the worst day.
It's not an easy job.
No.
No, it's not at all. But then
But
you
we have to try and
some of the
make
guys who are doing the job. Then you have some of the guys who aren't participating as much.
Well, we know about that, but.
So
We know about that.
so there's
but-
a difference in how things get done.
But my
because-
point is this, okay? My point is this. We have to look for a better way to operate right now, as soon as we
Yes.
can.
Yes.
Especially with the new stickers coming out. There are
Yeah.
going to be people that are going to
I'm
be
getting
trying to...
anxiety just thinking about the new sticker season, because you have no idea what we deal with.
Oh,
They'll tell you that.
I do have an idea, right?
On their
You know I do.
$50,000, $80,000 vehicle.
I
Yeah.
think someone should come spend a day out there for the
Yeah.
first week of sticker week. You'll see. They'll tell you guys,
Oh, yeah, I know what you guys are going
You know
to
it?
I know.
but it's not just about.
I
the sticker.
volunteered Dick.
It's about making the people feel comfortable.
so what I
too.
was proposing was a short-term solution.
Go ahead, yeah.
This gets us a short-term solution as we work towards the long-term solution.
Yeah, but see, I don't know if we can do that, you know what I'm saying? Like where it's an operation, kind of.
You don't even have to come up there. You just come up and observe.
Yeah.
And see
That
exactly
you
what we're
could
going
do.
through and what's
You could
happening
just
up there.
observe.
You see, there's signs up there that says children under 12 are not allowed out of the vehicle. you see them out of the vehicle. You see them riding in the back of the pickup truck.
Yeah.
You tell them you can't do it. What are you talking about? I've been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're the bad guy.
We have the
Until
old,
something happens, and then it's gonna be the town. It's gonna be your liability.
Right.
we have the old mentality that, you know, you just throw, you go to the dump it, push it, bury it.
Yep.
That's
Out of
the
sight,
way
out
it
of mind.
was.
Yeah.
And they still have that mentality, you know, unfortunately.
But, you know, we, at the same time, we want to make it family friendly, you know what I mean? Because no one deals more with the residents than we do.
Yeah, because you want
All the departments.
And we see them.
Every week, families, their
Walmart,
dogs.
downtown.
I guess what happened this week was Dick Belanger, he, there was a pickup truck that came up, no sticker, and the guy, so Dick approached him and said, do you have a sticker? Oh, yeah, it's on the other side of the truck. Dick goes around the other side of the truck. It's a sticker from 6 years ago, on the wrong side of the truck, too. Now, I know what you guys deal with, and I think most of us do.
6-year-old sticker.
But the thing is, the people that don't have a sticker
Yeah.
are taken away from the people who buy a sticker and who follow the rules.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
the people coming from
Right.
other towns.
Oh, that's it. They
Oh,
affect,
yeah.
they affect the cost of that operation.
They know the route, they know the schedule, they know Saturday's the busiest day, and they come in when there's only 2 people. One person's up top, taking care
Yeah.
of the money
They
and
know.
stuff, the other guy's down the bottom, and if you're over tin cans, they're over doing something with their cardboard. And you ain't got time to go look at every
No,
car
you
that's in
don't.
there.
No, you don't. That's why it's got to, we've got to have a checkpoint.
You've
That
gotta have a
checkpoint is in-
checkpoint.
I think the checkpoint would help solve a lot of
Yeah,
problems.
yeah, yeah.
I think it would help solve a lot of the abuse, too. I don't know why we didn't.
Well, you know, and we can also, because they get the letter they get it in the census about like what you can and can't throw out, right, up there? It's not in the
They
census.
get it every,
No, they get it when they get
time
the
sign-
sticker.
They get a
Yeah,
sticker.
when they sticker.
Yeah.
Well, it might be valuable to, anyway, to have more up there, and then when they get their sticker checkpoint, you say, here's the list again, do you have the list? Because this is what we're watching for these things, because, you know, when you get it, you probably go, yeah, okay, you know. But when you're there and you say, you know, we're looking out for this stuff.
We offer that list of people. They're like,
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right,
People
we'll
don't
check it out on
want
the
to
website. I don't have to do that either.
Okay, all right.
It's not everybody that comes in there. It's only, usually it's the same people over and over again.
Yeah.
A lot of the times. There
Yeah, a couple
should
of
be
them were in there.
consequences. If somebody's gonna break the rules,
A couple of them are in here.
So wasn't there a log that we were writing to if there was issues with certain license plates or stickers that we were recording that, and then we were
They
sending
do
a letter
that.
if there was.
They do that.
Yeah.
They record it.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, is it to the
Don't
point
you?
where some
don't have a
stickers
book or
or
anything?
whatever
I've
need to
only-
be revoked?
You mean recorded on a,
Yeah, if there's
On a log, on
a,
the book.
Like somebody who dumps that doesn't have a sticker, do you write that license plate number down?
we do, but the follow-up is to call the office or let Bob know when he comes through.
and you know I'll be through.
Right. And really, I can't say too much has happened to certain people.
the same
I've
people.
had police reports put on me where people try to get me arrested for doing my job.
I know. It's,
You know, and what was the follow-up for that? The guy still comes through. And then the other guy who threatened me, who's threatened to hit me in the face, do this. Bob reached out to him, tried to get a hold of him, but you couldn't.
no.
So I didn't see the guy for a couple
Kristen, actually,
months.
Kristen looked up the number. She gave me the number, but it was the wrong number.
There's
Not that you made the
Somebody's
mistake,
people,
it was
But the
listed.
follow-up though, because the guy came through
Yeah.
3 weeks ago and he was just staring at me and I'm looking at him.
Yeah.
And like he wasn't sure if he was supposed to be back in the yard. I couldn't tell
You probably ain't supposed to.
because I don't know what
I would say-
told him he couldn't be.
I would say if he told you he was gonna punch you in the face, he's not allowed there anymore.
Yeah, but no one told him he couldn't be in the yard because no one could get a hold of him.
No, there was one that was coming back, but he was just supposed to go do his thing and not make.
Yes, that's the guy you sent the letter, but I'm
Yes.
talking about a whole different guy. The guy who was attacking Ron because Ron asked him for a $10 fee for the hot water heater, and he lost his mind over $10. You know, and that's the crazy part, is because it's a little amount of money that the town is asking for these items.
Yeah, the way you go to Berkowitz, that's gonna cost you 100, easy.
People don't lose their minds over there. You know, they might be like, oh, okay, and they'll turn around and leave.
Right.
Over here, they want to get physical with you.
Right, right.
They paid for the sticker, whether it's
But
$240.
back to that guy who, so nothing's actually, he hasn't been spoken to because you couldn't get a hold of him. So as far as he's concerned, no one has told him he couldn't go in.
Well, I'd say,
Can we authorize them to just say you're revoked?
I mean, he's got to renew it. He's got to renew his permit. I would say we just don't renew his permit. We tell him, no, buddy, you go to Berkowitz from now on. We're not taking your permit anymore. You can't threaten our employees at the transfer station.
It's hard because they're not in a position that they can just do that and say that.
Well, they can't, but we can when
We can, oh, yeah,
Right.
we can. I thought you meant.
We can have him on a list.
If that
like-
person doesn't have a sticker anymore, then he can't,
Yeah,
can't be
and if
there.
he tries to buy one from you, I would tell him, like, if you need to go talk
We
to.
don't sell them.
Oh, yeah, they don't do that anymore.
No.
So he's got to come
Which is
down
good.
now.
Right.
So, I mean, I would say somebody like that, he gets like a, I don't know what, I mean, it's all on like a spreadsheet, right? So we could highlight that person's name or license plate number so that we know, and then when they try to renew it, you would see it right there, it's highlighted.
You know,
so,
I was thinking that
There's gotta be a
maybe
way.
if we had a little, it's not a shed, but a little protection area where somebody could be, where they come into the transfer station.
Right before the hill?
Yeah, right there.
Down at the bottom, right at the bottom
Have a
of the
little
hill?
protected, I don't know.
Little 4x4.
Yeah, 4x4 something, put it right there, and you can have a heater in there, a chair, but when it gets busy, you're right there, you're on top, and they don't go any further until, you look at the, in other words, there'd be a sign there, stop sign, 2 stop signs, and that's the only way I think we can do that, because we have to get them before they actually come in and go up.
But sometimes by the time you notice they're even there,
Yeah.
they're already half emptied or they're emptied and gone.
Oh, I know.
Right,
They've got
that's
it
why
down
we
to
have
a
this.
science. They've
But,
got it down to a science.
we had the lines painted, which was great.
Yeah.
We can only fit 8 cars in there. You'll have 10, 15 cars come all at the same time.
Yeah.
Now people are backed up trying to wait for someone to back in.
Yeah.
People are getting aggravated, so that's where that control will come in.
So what do you think about that?
Where would you put the booth? At the bottom of the hill or at the top of the hill?
Bottom.
If you were to do a booth?
I think at the top
I
of the
would,
hill.
up
because-
the top, because we want to keep the traffic off the street.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
If you do it up top, and then you have to turn them around,
Well, we could
Yeah.
watch them go out.
Yeah.
Because the cameras will be going, so if they do illegal dumping, we'll have their plate
true,
number.
yep.
Yeah.
We can just ask them to
Yeah.
leave.
Once they come through the gate, if they don't, they have to go up the hill and around because they can't go left because that's a one-way.
That's
You
right.
got the exit, then you go up there, you gotta go by the 2 open tops and go back up the hill. You can't go at the entrance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Once they come in,
they're sort
take
of,
a left turn because that's a one-way.
yeah.
Right.
That's another thing I'd like to see, if it's possible, is some arrows that point up the hill and arrows pointing out the exit.
So that people aren't taking that corner and dumping in the 40 yarder?
Especially new people. They'll come in the exit.
Or they'll
You
go out
know.
the entrance.
And then we have a lot of elderly people too. They get confused.
Hey, watch your mouth over there.
I didn't say you were elderly.
You're not in that category.
Right, not you, Dick. Don't worry.
So, so I think that would help with some arrows pointing the
Yeah,
direction that you
I think some little bit of directional arrows and some sort of a check-in booth, I think those should be high priority.
Yeah.
And then
Once,
back with those containers too, we'd also would like containers without graffiti on them.
yeah, that's BP. We got to talk to BP about that.
Oh, yeah, the open
Well,
top
those are
that
the
we
things that we have to discuss.
Yeah, that's part of the BP
In
contract.
fact, it's a great idea. You have your book there, start jotting things down.
I'm gonna-
have. I got a ton here, I don't want to hit you with too much.
Next meeting, right. Save something for next meeting.
Next meeting.
Okay.
BP was supposed to come, they were sending someone out to talk, or maybe it wasn't even when you guys were working, to go look at all the equipment, and I told them the bungees were missing.
Yeah.
You're saying nothing was,
See, the thing when they show up when nobody's there,
Yeah.
they don't leave a note saying they were there.
That's right.
So if they did something, if we can't
Well, it would have
physically
been-
see it, like
yeah.
when they work on a compactors, we don't know if they worked
Yeah.
them or not, if they've been
Yeah,
there.
that's
They
true.
don't- They don't notify anybody.
No,
Yeah, communication.
yeah, but they know that you're not there.
Yeah, they know that.
They know that you're not.
So they definitely know that you're not there, and who knows what they're doing, or,
And one thing I'd like to touch on is, how about these security cameras? When are they coming?
yep, so there was some issues with phones that went down, or systems that went down, so they're 2 more weeks behind again.
Okay.
It's
But
not
there was
just
a
our
huge
security,
issue
that's for
here
the
in
town
the building.
itself, you know, because if
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
say they slipped and fell, or
We used to have them.
No, it's all paid for, it's all, it's just a matter of them having to physically go do
Coming
it.
through.
And
Oh,
they
good.
only are here one time a week.
All right.
Yeah, they're only here on Wednesday, so
Yeah.
he came into me last Wednesday and told me,
So good, it's on the list, it's coming.
it's coming, it's all,
You're not forgotten.
no.
And I make sure of that.
feels like it sometimes.
Yeah, it sure does.
I know, sometimes you feel like you're on an island.
I know, it's hard, one meeting a month, we haven't even had a meeting for 2 months, so it's like,
Well, with the flu going around and everything else, I
Yeah.
hope everybody was safe and sound.
As far as the stickers, so March 1st is the deadline, but I'm working,
That's Saturday.
yep, so I'm working, Saturday is the
3:50?
1st?
I believe Saturday.
Okay.
that's
3:50?
first.
So they can,
Go over to the fire station? Oh,
I was going to do the 1st and the 8th.
you're doing your sticker right now.
Saturday's the 1st.
Now, if they don't get one on the first, they
First
come in on the third.
350, right?
Or the, whatever, the fourth, right? Or the fifth, whatever it is. That's Saturday, so it'd be Tuesday. They come in Tuesday without a sticker, are we gonna turn them away?
You're going to bring them, send them to me.
Up to the town hall?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Go to the town hall. go
I
see
mean,
Kristen, Board of
anybody
Health.
that's had a sticker, which most of them are repeats, know that.
Right.
Oh, yeah, they all know it.
They know that.
Just avoid it.
Right.
And for 2 weeks on Saturday,
No,
I'll
they-
be at the fire department from 9 to 1. So if they did miss it the first Saturday, they can come during the week.
So we can
They
put
can
that
do
on
it
the-
by
Just covered a
mail,
couple
they can
things
drop it in the
during the discussion.
Dropbox, I'll send it to them.
Yeah.
There's no
Doing all right.
excuse.
There is no excuse, that's what we tell them. We tell them
Yep.
you can mail it in.
Did a
Yeah.
great
You know,
job
they're
tonight.
like,
Yep.
well, you know.
Thank you.
You
Oh, like
really
you
did. That was a
guys,
tough
we
one.
work more than 3 days a
Held you
week.
wrong.
Well, then they can drop it in the Dropbox, they can do whatever, but
We are open till 6 on Tuesday.
I'm open till 6 on Tuesday.
All
so.
right.
Tough guy. Jeez.
Tuesday's the late day.
Yep, and so if they miss it the first, they can either come
Yeah,
the 8th,
yeah.
or they can
Yeah, I
come
know.
during the week, or they can mail it, or they can call me and we'll make an arrangement.
I get kind of ticked
If they
off.
have a problem, just have them call me and we'll figure it out.
Like, throw it out the window then.
Yeah, yeah.
1,300.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Shall we continue?
Yes, we shall. Okay, are we all set here?
All set.
All right, thank you very much, guys.
All set, thank you.
We will, I like that checkpoint idea. We got to talk about that and see how we can facilitate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
All right, I'm gonna take a ride up when I get a chance. I'm gonna head towards Webster, and I'm gonna take a picture of their sign, just so everyone can.
Yeah, they just have,
Yeah.
they just have one person though.
There's only one guy that I see.
So they
His
must not,
shack is about 15 feet from where everyone stops.
so they must not have to push a button or anything like that. 'Cause
No.
that's where we are kind of,
They just have a stop sign that says, all attendees have to wait here at the checkpoint until someone comes out.
But do you have any other workers around any other areas?
They might, but you
I know
don't
that
see 'em.
Sutton only has one
One
person.
guy,
Yeah, because that's all they need really is one.
Yeah,
the checkpoint.
but they come up, in Sutton, they come up to the checkpoint.
Yeah.
They can't go any further.
Can't go any further.
And then the guy looks, check, okay, that goes in that bin, that goes here, okay, that's it.
Because when I brought my mattress up there, that's what he did. He came
Yeah.
out, he looked,
Yeah.
he looked in the back of my truck, he went down to the next vehicle, counted
Yeah.
the bags,
Yeah.
because they charge by the bags up there.
So we need a checkpoint. That seems crucial here to help mitigate all
well,
this.
I think that would solve a lot of the problems because
Yeah.
that would mean they have a sticker, they should have gotten the list.
Well, now you have to talk to somebody.
Right, and you have to talk to somebody and you have to look them in the
So you
face and
need a,
say, oh yeah, I'm here to drop.
And we get to look at what you're bringing in.
Yeah, you can't just wave and,
Where you just drive by.
we
right.
need a third person then. There's no way.
I was just thinking, I think we might, especially for like March when stickers are, like
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Maybe not on a Tuesday or
No, with a
Thursday,
checkpoint. two
On
people,
Saturday.
it's Easy all day.
even on a Saturday.
With a checkpoint?
Isn't one person
Yeah.
pushing the button, doing bulky, and then one person's down?
Well, if the checkpoint's at the top of the hill, they could press the button too.
Right, because you can only let so many cars down. So if
Yeah.
there's already 8 cars in the lot, the rest have to wait. Because
Whatever you guys.
Yeah.
Because you only have 8 parking spots.
I think that could
You
work.
know what I mean? So
That could work.
sometimes they might have to wait while the guy goes and pushes a button.
Yeah.
You
Doesn't
know?
have to be-
While
That's
the
gonna
guy
be
at the
like
bottom
a little
gets
Boy, that's gonna be a
the
culture
Wait for
shock.
the bus.
This is
Yeah.
not,
That's going to be a culture shock.
this is not going to go over well.
Protect them
No,
from
it's not gonna go
the
well.
Right, the weather.
People are gonna be
nasty weather, right?
But then again,
if they have to wait for anything, but
But
they're
it makes
used
the
to
most sense.
Yeah,
Yep.
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Well, we'll work on it,
Yeah,
sure.
we'll think about it.
Yeah, no,
We
thanks,
need
thanks for
something.
coming, I appreciate it.
I mean, if we need a subcommittee to be put together, we can make it happen.
I think we have it right
This is your
here.
guy, right here.
On a good note, the tonnages are looking terrific.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yes.
all right, yeah.
Oh, they do look really good.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
other thing too, you know,
yeah,
because
yeah.
quite a few of the cardboard bins used to go out. Now we only have 2 go out, you know,
Yeah.
because we make sure that we
You
stack
guys
the
are doing
cardboard.
okay.
Yeah, you guys do great.
All right.
Very appreciative
Everyone's
of you.
happy,
Thank you, Lou.
but we
I want to go to bed
residents
tonight.
to be more happier than anyone.
Yep, yep, all right.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
You guys have a
Take
great
care.
day.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Glory.
All right, so sticker update, quick one, sticker update?
95 have been sold.
Awesome.
How much?
95.
95. So you'll get a couple hundred this week.
96.
1,300 more.
Take my money.
Oh, 96?
96.
All right.
All right.
Tonnages,
Look
Good.
great, someone
Excellent.
said.
solid waste contract,
Just
Yeah,
throwing
that's-
it out there. It's coming up.
Yep.
coming up.
It's always.
True false, Dick?
I think it's being.
Oh,
As you walk out the door, look to
have
the
you done
left.
it?
Look to the
You
left.
know that? Everybody's getting that wrong.
Yeah.
All right, I'll look to the left.
If I would
Look to the
I'll
left.
check it out.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Sounds
go through
good.
it.
Health agent.
There's a orange postcard.
Nothing really to report.
Yes.
Awesome. We are flying now. Public health.
I'm not gonna say much because it's late already, but all good. People are sick, tons of people with flu. We are still distributing the COVID tests. People take them, people test, which is good. So,
Yeah.
A lot of people doing sharp containers with us.
oh yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's really good.
Look
A
at
lot
that.
of
They found a home.
It
Yeah.
is.
So,
Got the highlighter. and
so
everything.
we, good reminder,
Get it
yes.
off.
People are aware that we are
You're gonna
collecting
run
the
out of ink
sharps, they are
over
bringing
that
them, they
I know,
are
huh?
for the new empty containers.
That's, you're an
The only
addict.
problem is they're gonna run
That's
out
what it
eventually.
is.
I know, then,
But, you know,
You
but
can't
we
keep
can
it
use the
bottled
money,
in.
the opioids, and we can use
I
this
like
for
quick.
purchasing the sharp
I
containers.
think it's important because a lot of people use it.
Yes. You know, because they were bringing us milk gallons.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that
Yeah.
That's not the best.
Yeah, it's not safe for us to handle this, you
Nope.
know?
Nope.
And here at least it's handled safe for us to handle.
We still have this young lady back here.
I'm just listening.
Just enjoying the show?
I served my time.
Didn't have anything else to do tonight.
Yeah, it's good, good. Approval of minutes. Dick? Oh, minutes, you got something?
Yeah, we have October 2023.
I know,
Yeah.
because, well, I was going through them all, trying to straighten them all out, and I noticed she never did that. So I contacted her, and she never did it.
I can't remember what happened 10
I
minutes
move
ago.
we accept the minutes of
Just
Monday,
read it and you'll
October.
remember. I will get back to you.
I provided a copy of the updated EDS plan, so.
I move that we accept the minute from the Monday, October 16, 2023. Go ahead, talk over me next.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
All
Aye.
right,
All right. Next, you want to do the December ones too?
sure. I move we accept the minutes of the Monday, December 9th, 2024 meeting as distributed.
A second?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving along.
Review bills and warrants.
Bills and warrants, yeah.
Bills and warrants.
You have a warrant for you,
Looks like,
Corey.
looks like we're still spending a lot of money,
Oh,
huh?
yes,
All right. They keep coming. We keep
do.
paying them.
they do.
Do we have any money in the budget?
No?
For what?
Now we're going to build the checkpoint shed with it, so.
We call it Checkpoint Charlie?
Toilet flapper?
Oh, we need a, oh, for,
Oh.
I just thought I'd,
Tank wall, yeah, tank top,
Yeah.
tank wall,
you need what you need.
yeah.
That's on the bills and warrants.
Yeah.
All right, old and new.
Who was that, Krista?
Transfer station.
Yeah, that was, who put that down, Dick?
I don't remember.
Did you go fix that?
are we ready
No,
for?
no, it's-
No, he
I
laughed.
don't do plumbing anymore.
No. Fix plumbing?
I only teach
Is it
it.
toilet paper?
That's all, I don't do it.
What?
Toilet paper?
What paper?
What did you say it was?
Flapper.
This wasn't a
Oh, a
flapper.
toilet flapper.
Yeah, it's the tank wall inside the
I didn't
the
order
toilet.
one of
It's right here. The last page.
You know it wasn't going to get by him.
Or maybe it's next to last page.
Can I see
Next to
that?
last
Do you have
page. Whole bunch of items, and it's sort of tucked in there.
I don't know how old that is.
Oh, yeah, toilet pump.
I didn't even see it.
Oh, yeah,
Signed it, I didn't even see it. Well, when they give me a stack of like this, you know how it is, Corey.
Head stop, you just, oh yeah, I see it, toilet,
Okay.
Koopman lumber. Yeah, you
Was the
just,
toilet broken at the transfer
Yeah,
station?
yeah, yeah.
get me out of here.
Well, we want that to work, so.
Yeah, that's
Mr.
important.
Chairman, are you ready for a motion to adjourn?
I am.
Anything anticipated, 24 hour, 48 hours in advance?
I tried to sneak it through, but it didn't work.
Nothing?
All in favor?